My name's Johnny Quest. I'm a producer, DJ, rapper, recording engineer from Lawrence, Kansas. He was the dude who really ushered me into like production and studios and all that kind of stuff. Like I'd been writing and rapping for, I don't know, at least 5 years or something at that point. Had been DJing for 3 or 4, and you know, he kind of introduced me to the studio. He was working a spot called Mind Blowing in Kansas City. It was a small label out of KC, and he was like their in-house producer. And he took me up to the studio a few times. Eventually, like, sold me my first sampler that I used. And you know, it was one of the things I could appreciate, that he always showed me, like, you know, you could get a lot done with a little. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of our role, and we've been friends for a long time and kind of watched each other grow as artists and all that. And you know, he really gave me my first introduction to studios and all, and the production side of it. You know, it's just a real easy process, you know. Like, I mean, him and I have known each other so long that, like, it was definitely fun to be like finally working kind of like as peers on a song and having that come out and come together. But yeah, it was a real easy process. And then, you know, I've also seen him work and struggle in the studio with people, you know, trying to get the right vocal takes and make sure that everything is how it's supposed to be, you know, a balance between what the artist's vision is and like how it should actually come across on a record, and working with them and getting the right medium of both, you know. Perfectionism like comes with, like, you know, talent and practice and, you know, repetition. And so yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like, if that's your standard, then it becomes just what you work towards. And I think that's something that I always learned from him, was that, you know, you have to set the highest standards for yourself to like follow through to that goal. I mean, you kind of can only, you know, put them in comparison of artists who are, you know, double and triple and quadruple threats. You know, there's a lot, not a lot more, there's a fair number of, you know, triple threat producers in multiple arenas. You know, producers, rappers, engineers, DJs, etc. You know, he's dope at all of those things, of course, but also, like, I think brings them all together well, which doesn't go for everybody. But I'm blanking on artists to compare to. But I mean, it's rare to come by that somebody is talented in all of those arenas. There's a lot of people who produce and rap, or rap and produce, and, you know, maybe DJ, and at some point, you know, engineer as well. Like, because a lot of us these days, you know, do everything. Especially if you're a really perfectionist style producer. A lot of us want to engineer our own tracks and make sure that everything sounds the way that we want it to sound and the way that we know it should sound. And once you have that vision of how it all comes together, then it works as a cohesive whole. And not everybody has that soul and experience and talent to like pull all those things together into a cohesive package. Like, I think one of the big things that I got from him was the gear shouldn't limit you. The gear should only like enhance what you're already thinking and feeling. And even with the minimal setup, I mean, that dude can crank out some amazing shit. I think now that he's getting into the arena of like bigger and better production gear, it's gonna make for more like cinematic style, like big sounding productions, you know. You know, it's hard to say. Like, I would like to see something with, like, you know, Pharoah Monch or somebody like that. Somebody that can really, like, get into, like, the syncopation of his production, which, you know, him being a percussionist and a drummer, like, you know, there's some really dope percussion and syncopation elements, like, going on in his tracks. And I'd like to see somebody like Pharoah really be able to, like, explore that rhythmically, you know, with the vocals, you know. I think that would be dope. I'd like to see MOP E40. I think it'd be good. Again, like, he's such a talented producer and can go a lot of different directions that you know, he can tailor sound specifically to whatever artist he happens to be working with at any given time. As artists, you know, whatever your thought or your feeling is that you're trying to express, like, you want that to come across how you envision it, and have somebody that's there that can understand what your vision is, what you've gone through to get to that feeling or that vision, and then take you the rest of the way there and make it a whole being and a whole piece of music. You know, I think it takes a lot of like depth of like personality and character and soul and talent to be able to bring all of those things together for any particular artist, and to be able to do it with a wide variety of artists is such a difficult thing, but something that he seems to be able to skip through pretty easily. I mean, I think he could end up anywhere. Like, he's a really talented, smart dude, and like, his brain works a little bit differently than everybody's. He always seems to be a few years ahead, you know, of what everybody else is doing. So it's kind of hard to say.